There have never been so many ways to adapt a vehicle for a passenger or a driver with a disability or reduced mobility, but the process when you're first starting out can seem daunting. So we've come to Motability here in Ashbourne to find out what it involves. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Motability and the company history?
Yeah, so we're in business since 1999. It was started by Malachy McElmeal. He's seen a business opportunity to help disabled drivers and passengers, and it's just been progressing ever since. If you look around, you'll kind of see the progression of the vehicles here themselves. You know, we have some second-hand vehicles from 2011, 2013 up into new, and you can see just the differences throughout the years and the progression. Everything just keeps moving forward, which is great. So it is for, as I say, disabled drivers and passengers, you know.
What happens when somebody comes to you looking for a vehicle adaptation? What's the first thing you look at?
Yeah, so we ask a couple of questions. You know, we like to specify we're not being nosy. You know, like, is the person in the wheelchair in a manual or electric wheelchair? Are they tall or small? You know, if the person isn't there in front of us, because these factors dictate what sort of vehicle is suited for the person, as well how many passengers are in the vehicle. It's a multitude of questions kind of that we have to assess just to see what vehicle is suited for them. There's no vehicle, unfortunately, that suits all. As we like to say, we're not like a normal car dealership. You can't come in here and we go, this car here looks good, this will suit you. It's not the way that we operate, you know. There's no, as I always say myself, the only reason you're coming to ourselves is because of the person in the wheelchair. And if the vehicle isn't suited for that person, then there's no point to having the conversation. You know, aesthetics obviously is a nice advantage with the vehicle, but the practicality is the real reason. So we just assess, as I say, what is suited for the person, head height, width. You know, if you need a winch, if you don't need a winch is something that will help guide and pull the wheelchair into the vehicle. Just it alleviates any stress on yourself if the person is in a manual chair. So we're sitting in a specially adapted Volkswagen Tiguan here. We have a multitude of our most popular adaptations in this vehicle. So first off, we have push-pull hand controls here. So when you pull on the lever, it accelerates, and when you push on the lever, it brakes. As well, this lever here is an indicator switch. So when we flick on that there, when we flick on the switch, it indicates left and right, so it does. On our left here, we have what's called a steering ball. Now this isn't just a normal steering ball, I'll go through the system here. So if you're using the hand controls, like I am here, it just means that it's easier for yourself to maneuver the vehicle because you have your hand in this position rather than trying to steer. This here is called an infrared system. So if you look closely at the buttons, again, we have our indicators, we have our washers, we have our lights. Everything is hooked up, all of our electrics here. It just means that you don't have to move your hand off the steering wheel at all. Everything is at your push of a button, so it is. What we have here is a swivel seat. Now this probably be one of our most popular adaptations that we would offer here. So as you can see here, we have our two red squares. All the vehicles, or all the swivel seats on the vehicles are marked with squares, so they are. So all we do is simply line up our two squares, make sure that they're in line, and then we have a little lever here. We push down on the lever, and you can see that the seat swivels around to a 90-degree angle. And that just means that it's for when the twist in motion in a lot of elderly people, not specifically elderly people, but the twist in motion, if that's what you struggle with, it just means that you can maneuver yourself straight back onto the seat. You know, you're not trying to contort yourself in and back, you know. And then all we do is then simply push down on the lever, and you can see the seat swivels in with ease. As well, it retains the initial seat rails, so you still have the normal adjustability, so you do.
So Aaron, this one is a particularly interesting vehicle because it allows a wheelchair user to drive the vehicle by bringing their wheelchair into the vehicle. Can you show us how it works?
So we open it with the push of a button here. As you can see, the reverse light comes on. The vehicle will automatically lower to the ground. The rear tailgate would open. finally the ramp will fall flat to the ground, so it will. So all of that happens smoothly with the push of a button. So what would happen is the wheelchair occupant would drive up to the start. Again, they would push the button, it would go through the motion, lowering to the ground, the rear tailgate would open, the ramp would fall flat to the ground. They would drive into the vehicle here. You can see there's a docking station. So these vehicles are more specific for people with electric wheelchairs that can automatically dock. Now this vehicle is called an internal transfer, So the person would dock into the docking station, and you can see on the right behind the driver's chair there's a tracking system. So that's for what's called a 6-way seat, and I can show you how that operates now. So as you can see on the 6-way seat here, we have a couple of different controls. This lever here moves the seat forward and back. This lever here higher and lowers the seat, and then again this lever here will twist left and right. Obviously I can't twist too much at the moment, but the more we move back into the vehicle, the more motion we'll have with the chair. So I'll just talk you through how a wheelchair accessible vehicle works. So first off, we put on the brakes to the wheelchair, step into the vehicle, push on the button here which initiates the power to the electric reels. Once the power is on, the reels can move in and out freely. Once it's off, they'll go in, but they won't go out. Attach onto the wheelchair. If your wheelchair has specific mounting points, attach onto that. If not, the frame of the chair will do. Flick off the switch. Wheel the chair in. Again, the restraints will hold once the power is off. Wheel up to a comfortable position. This vehicle is a 2+2 conversion, which allows the wheelchair to sit in between the 2 rear seats. Push down on the red lever. Put on the other rear lever. Couple of winds back. Tighten the chair, secure it. Then your seat belts. So you have your shoulder belt. And your lap belt. Then lastly, fold up the ramp.
So can you tell us a bit about the types of customers that come to your doors?
Okay, well, we'd have a broad range, Lauren. As I said to you, dealing from disabled drivers and passengers. An example of a disabled passenger could be someone that's looking for a basic, maybe swivel seat. On the driver's side, anywhere from a steering ball up to space drive systems to help them brake and accelerate the vehicle. The main kind of markets we would serve, as I said, we would be the drive from wheelchair specialists of Ireland. We would sell both new and pre-owned wheelchair accessible cars for clients that travel in their wheelchair. We would then cover a broad range of driving and passenger oriented adaptations to standard vehicles as well. We also introduced the first adapted vehicle hire service back in 2007, and since then that fleet has grown up to 60 vehicles at any given moment.